I think it was Thursday. I'm at Thursday now, I think. And now this argument lasted all day. The jury didn't even get a chance to hear any testimonies. They argued this one out all day. And this one right here is the one that is about to just change everything in the state of Georgia, right? Not change everything, but you know what I mean. I'm emphasizing for dramatic purposes. But this is the one that made the judge say, pause everything. We're going to take a recess on Friday. I'll see y'all next week. If y'all need me on Friday while y'all figure this out, call me, but y'all figure this out. All right, so here we go. So if y'all remember, the very first witness that was on the stand in this whole trial was a man named Detective Belnap, right? He was an expert witness because of his history with gangs. His history with gangs in the Atlanta area, he has an extensive history working with and around gangs in the Atlanta area. So he knew everything. He was an expert witness, right? He's also what they call a fact witness. Fact witness meaning he was at the scene of one of these crimes, or he was the arresting officer at one of these crimes, or he was called to one of these scenes to handle when one of these incidents happened, right? So not only is he in this case as an expert witness, he's also in this case as somebody who dealt with YSL members actually on the street. So he's going to come in there and testify to the events that happened when he was around, right? So expert witness versus fact witness. So we have this thing called dual witness, right? Which that has happened before. There's precedent for it. Now, the thing that they were arguing about was the fact that the state is now about to call Detective Belknap back to the stand to be an expert witness again. That's important. That sounds small, but that right there is going to turn this whole case on his head if the judge allows it. And we're going to go forward because he ended up allowing it. But listen, and this is why they argued this for such a long time. They argued for a long time, rightfully so, because so essentially what they're saying is, so the arguments were, how can you have him be an expert witness again when you already had him as an expert witness? He exhausted everything that he knew about gangs. He went through this full PowerPoint. Y'all asked him everything you wanted to ask him. The defense didn't even cross-examine him. The state got out all the gang knowledge that he had over his entire career. He broke down pictures of YSL. He said what these gang signs mean. He even put up gang signs with his own hands in the courtroom. He went that far. He was going through pictures of these dudes, saying what their tattoos meant. He went through everything. He even gave the history of some of these gangs. So the defense is saying, why would he come back as an expert witness? As an expert witness, he's about to say the same stuff that he said the first time. What could he possibly offer again to this case, except the fact that, now here's where the analogies and the metaphors come in. They said that this is akin to a song with a chorus. They're saying that Detective Belknap being used multiple times as an expert witness is going to trick the jury. It's like a chorus is this the words that they use. It's a chorus because you're going to have people, you started the song out with them, which the trial is the song. You started the trial out with this man as the expert witness. You have some testimony, and now you're going to bring this man back to say a bunch of the same stuff he said already. And then you're going to have some more testimony. Then you're going to bring him back. And what's going to happen is that over the course of a 1 year, 2 year trial, however long this thing take, it's likely that the jury is not even going to remember anything except what the chorus was, which is what Detective Belknap keeps coming up there and telling them. They're going to keep remembering what he said. And then on top of that is, because you have deemed this man an expert witness, anytime you call somebody like Trontavia Stevens up there, right? And he says that person wasn't Rock Crew, this wasn't this was this was this. And then you say, bring Detective Belknap back up here to testify again as an expert. You're going to pretty much tell the jury, Detective Belknap is the expert. So everything he tells you about what Trontavia Stevens said, Belknap is the one that's correct. Trontavia Stevens is lying. Detective Belknap is the expert, so he knows what's going on. So every time the state doesn't like what one of the star witnesses gives them, they can just have Detective Belknap come up and just pretty much disregard everything the last witness just said. So we don't have to spend our time impeaching all these witnesses, because we are anticipating now that all of these guys who took deals in this YSL trial, they're all going to come up here and do what Trontavia Stevens did. So we need some type of fight back. The way that we fight against this is we are going to we're going to encapsulate all of these guys' testimonies with Detective Belnap coming and giving us the real picture of what's actually going on. And the defense is saying there is no way that you could do something like that. That is completely off base. That is completely, it will cause the type of problem to where there is no way this can be unbiased. The jury is not going to be able to tell, even though we can give all the jury instruction that we want. There's still the way that the mind works. They're not going to be able to differentiate between that man's opinion on general gang information versus him saying Trontavia Stevens was lying. They're not going to be able to tell the difference. And that's just psychology. Once you deem somebody an expert in your mind, anything that a person says that's against what the expert said, you're going to think that other person is wrong. So the defense, so they argued about this all day. They came out. We got a shark on the prosecution side, Miss Hilton. Miss Hilton is the one with the Philly accent. I don't even need to look her up. I know a Philly accent when I hear one. Okay, that is a Philly shark right there. Now the person that she had to argue against was Attorney Shard. That's Shannon Stillwell's attorney. That's the bald white dude, right? So he was no match for her. Attorney Hilton served him up. I'm not going to lie, because listen, so they thinking they're going to come up in there and do all the, hey, well, you can't do that because it's like a chorus. They try to do a real poetic soliloquy to the judge. And she said, I got case law. She hit him with 2 cases, one from the Supreme Court and then another one from the state of Georgia. He was like, I never even heard of those cases. I don't know. I need to go read. Shard didn't have anything for that. And the whole defense team had nothing for what Miss Hilton was throwing at them. I'm not going to lie. There was nothing only thing they could do is say, this can't work like this because it's going to trick the jury. They're not going to understand the difference between him giving his opinion as an expert versus what he's saying is just law and is factual. They're not going to know the difference. He didn't really have any real basis for what he was saying. And the judge kept telling him, like, I hear what you're saying, but you need to give me a real argument. You're not telling me anything that's substantive to say why they can't use him as a witness like this. There's nothing again. There's no, in Georgia history, they're about to set precedent with this. There's no case that has used a person like this before, but there's also nothing against it either. Because there's nothing against it, they can do it. It's up to the judge to say yes or no. And because it's the judge's job to interpret the law and say what's law and what's not law, what's legal and what's not legal. The judge is saying, well, there's no standard for it. But because Miss Hilton gave us these case laws, and it does say, so the case law was pretty much about using a dual witness in different capacities for expert and fact base. So then Shard, he went back to a seat. They did some little research or whatever, and he read through it. I love lawyers because they're so damn smart. They could be wrong too at times, but they are intelligent. So I like how fast they read. I like how they do everything, right? So he goes back to a seat and they going through everything. They thought they really had a great argument with this whole Belnap is like the chorus to the song. They thought they had a great argument, and it is a great argument, but they didn't expect that lady to have cases to reference. They didn't expect Miss Hilton to have cases to reference. Attorney Love and Attorney Hilton are the ones. I don't know. I need to look up Miss Love, and I'm pretty sure I know where Miss Hilton is from. They're the ones. I don't know where they came from. A case like this, even though a lot of the arguments before this week sounded like completely ridiculous, I see their vision now. They're thinking on the fly. And if they can prolong this, if they can stretch this case out longer and longer, they're getting stronger and stronger as this time goes on. Okay, so anyway, let me get back to this. So Shard goes back to his seat. He does some reading. Him and his team, they get together, they huddle up, they say, let me look at this law, let me figure this. How you spell that? Okay, let me look this up. Then they come back and say, well, listen, this case talks about dual purpose witnesses, but it doesn't say that the person was used as an expert multiple times. And the judge immediately had a rebuttal to that. The rebuttal was when Belnap first gave his expert testimony, it was y'all who waived You didn't want to cross-examine him. Y'all didn't want to ask him nothing. Y'all didn't want to make him look like a liar. Y'all didn't want to paint him in no way. Y'all didn't want to ask him nothing. Y'all all declined to cross-examine this man. And then when the state dismissed him, they temporarily dismissed him and told him he could be called back to testify again. So they're saying, so the judge is telling them immediately, y'all already knew he was going to be called back to testify because when we dismissed him, we told him he could be called back. So there's really no argument against it. And then Shard is like, but, we thought it was going to be fact-based. And then another thing that they did, let me look, what's the lady's name? I think her name is Westmoreland, Miss Westmoreland. I think she's one of the attorneys also. She actually went and referenced an email thread that they had between the state and the defense. Now, this should have been... This is a crazy one, right? I'm sorry, y'all. I might even just let this whole episode be about this because, like I said, this is the most pivotal week of this trial. So Westmoreland, she goes and references this email that they had during the first week of trial after dude testified. And this is back to the end of November. I think they said November 29th or whatever this email thread came from. The state specifically said that Detective Belnap would not be called again as an expert witness. He is only coming back as a fact witness. They have this in paperwork, in writing. The state said that. The judge told the defense went and read the emails. They said, look, this is what they said. Y'all told them to tell us everything that they were going to do with these witnesses, and they told us this in writing, and you need to make them honor what they said. The judge said, I understand it. I get it. You're right. That's fine, but no. That was a conversation between y'all. Y'all don't make the decision on what happens in this courtroom. I have to give final say on what's going to happen in the courtroom. That's fine that y'all tried to come to an agreement on your own, but when I look at the facts of the matter, when I look at the case law, when I look at XYZ that's going on in this court, they can call that man as many times as they want, honestly. Now, he said he did let them know if it feels like it gets to be too repetitive, if they keep on doing it, then we can revisit it, and then maybe I'll stop them from calling him as an expert witness. But the way everything is set up right now, this will only be the second time they called him. I'm going to allow it. This argument lasted all day. They was arguing about this shit all day. Literally, they didn't have a witness on Thursday at all. The jury was sitting in the back room the whole time. They only brought the jury out to tell them, y'all can go home for the day. That was it. Like, this thing got intense. Now, the reason I say that this is setting the precedent, like I said, there was no case ever in this history of this state to where this happened before, where they could just say, oh, we're going to just call an expert back every time somebody says something we don't like. We just get our expert back in here to clear it up. So with them doing this will undoubtedly be used again against other people. Like, I can't even understand. I can't even believe this judge is allowing this. We'll see how it goes on appeal or whatever. But I'm honestly, the way that this week went, and with them having the opportunity to have Detective Belknap pretty much button up all of the testimonies that they don't like, I can 1000% see this not going YSL's way at all. At all. There's no way that they're going to have a bunch of street dudes come up in there, throw the state off with a bunch of lies, and then have that detective come back in, clear everything up, talk about why they was lying, all that shit. And then the jury is just going to believe the street person that said what they said. It's just no chance in hell. That was the dagger. I'm not going to lie. That is going to determine the whole rest of this whole case. And the cold thing about it is the jury y'all let me know in the comments. If you was on a jury, right? In a case like this is a crazy case. In a case like this, would you go like on the internet in the evening and watch Law and Crime to see what they was talking about when y'all went in the room? Would you read about it on social media? Because they tell you not to, but would you do it though? Realistically, how could you avoid it? You know that you part of the biggest case in Georgia history. Nobody else knows you're in there, but you know, like, yo, I'm part of I want to see what people are saying about this case. I want to see what's going on. I want to see what clips are going viral. It's almost impossible to keep people from seeing this. So it's just crazy to me that they're about to do this. I don't know, man. They pretty much are saying that they weren't planning on. So let me go back and address the emails again. And I already told you that the judge said, like, that's fine that y'all said in an email, but y'all don't make the rules here. pretty much what the state was saying is that the reason we said that in the emails is because that's what we thought at that time. But after they literally saying because Trontavia Stevens gave the type of testimony he gave, and because we are trying to move to impeach him, we're going to have Detective Belnap give you facts as to why, or his expert opinion about why the stuff that Trontavia Stevens was not good, so that we can impeach that witness. Right? So pretty much it's saying like we're gonna have this expert tell you why he was lying, and then we're gonna get his testimony thrown out. But we need this detective to come tell you why we got to throw it out. But really, it's like a tactic. It's like a double-edged thing. You know what I'm saying? Because not only are they going to impeach Trontavia Stevens, they're also going to give clarity to the jury about all this other criminal stuff, which is, again, it's like he's fact and expert at the same time, because the jury, like I said, psychology, they're not going to be able to tell the difference. It's crazy. It is very crazy. It is very crazy, man. They took a recess on Friday. It was like, yo, like everybody go back to your corner. Let's y'all figure this out together. And when we come back, you know, because they're trying to introduce a like Instagram posts and videos and all this type of stuff, and they have to chop it up and condense it, or what they call sanitize it. So they have to get rid of a bunch of stuff that's not going to be considered admissible. Like when they talk about Instagram posts, like who else liked it and what other people commented under it, like, yeah, get rid of all that stuff. So the judge told them, like, y'all take Friday to get that figured out. So from what they said this week, also we got Walter Murphy will be testifying as well. Walter Murphy, so if y'all been paying attention, there's 3 supposed founders of YSL: Jeffrey Williams, Trontavia Stevens, and Walter Murphy. So both Walter Murphy and Trontavia Stevens took deals in this case. They were on the case, but they took deals. So they're both testifying for the state. So, and again, it doesn't mean that they snitch, because we just seen what dude did. He pretty much just threw his life away to not snitch on Young Thug anyway, because he told on some other people in that whole testimony. But man, I think that the Walter Murphy testimony will be very interesting, and I think that the way Trontavia Stevens testified is going to give us a lot of indication on what we're about to see with Walter Murphy. Whenever he comes, they didn't announce like a day where he'll be there, but they definitely said that he's coming. He's coming up. So we'll see if he does the same thing. And I think that them attempting to impeach Trontavia Stevens right now, they want to make sure it happens right now as a message and as a lesson to anybody coming after him that plans on doing the same thing. I think they want to make sure they set an example, because if they get him impeached, they probably get another smaller prosecutor, another prosecutor that's not working on this. Yo, get his perjury case. Let's get his probation violation going and get him out the way, like, while this trial is still going on. And when I say him, I'm talking about Trontavia Stevens. So I think they're definitely trying to send a message to every other witness that's coming up. You know what I'm saying? This is a cold game right now. They even mentioned impeaching Walter Murphy. He hasn't even said a word yet. And the prosecution is already like, they mentioned Walter Murphy coming up there, and they're like, you never know, we might have to impeach again. So they're anticipating they're about to do this to us. They're about to come up here and lie to us about everything. Man, I do want to also say, this trial is the longest trial so far. It's already the longest. This is the beginning of this trial, and it's already the longest trial in Georgia history. Before this, the longest trial in Georgia history was the Atlanta public school teachers trial that they had with the whole cheating scandal. If y'all are familiar with that, they were cheating on standardized testing so that their scores at the school would be better. They was giving kids answers and stuff like that. They actually went to prison for that. So that was the longest trial before, at 8 months. This whole trial alone, I guess they started it. So I guess when jury selection process start, that's when they consider it trial started. Jury selection alone was a longer process than that entire Atlanta schools trial. Jury selection in this trial was 10 months long. We, at this point right now, we are like almost a year. So this trial is already almost at a year, pretty much. And we at the beginning of it. They only had one of the defendants on the overall indictment Only one of them has testified so far. I'm sure they're going to have a bunch more of them. They're going to have a bunch more cops. They're going to have victims and witnesses and all that. This is what, 128 count or 100 and whatever count indictment. They only went through a few so far. This is about to be the longest. This is going to be one of the longest in the history of the country. It won't be the longest, though, because there's one trial that lasted 7 years. This is not going to take 7 years, but it's for sure going to blow everything Georgia has ever done out the water, for sure. And like I said, I honestly now, I see the vision from the state. I see the state's vision now. I see the state's vision. This is about to be a slugfest all the way to the end and beyond when it comes to appeals. I don't see them beating this. After what I heard this week, and with the judge allowing Belnap to come back in there, I don't see them beating this. No way. Shout out to Trontavious Stevens. They about to smoke you, my G. You did what you could. You know they say the first one over the hill. You was the first one over the hill. You are about to take all the arrows because they are not going to let up on you. You took all the arrows. Now that is going to inform all the rest of the defendants that took deals on what to do when they get up in that courtroom. You better know you can play the game all you want, and it's fine. We got to find a smart way because we don't want to be labeled snitches, and that puts our life in danger, and I get it. But you got to know that when you're in these situations, you do not hold the power in these situations. The power is in the hands of the state, which is some of the questioning that was coming from, I think, Shard. Shard was saying, do these people have the power to revoke your probation? Of course, they didn't let him answer that question, but that's real. We could play these games all we want, but when you find yourself in these criminal situations and you waive rights, he waived his right to plead the fifth. He waived his right to all type of stuff. He can't appeal anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you get in these criminal situations, you start waiving your own rights. You have to understand that they're going to treat you like a person with no rights. And so, I'm gonna give my boy a B for effort. I'm gonna give you a B for effort because you did what you could to try to protect the people that you was close to, but now they are going to try to give you as much of that time back as possible. And like I told y'all before, he's actually on parole right now. His probation for this case don't even start until he get off parole for the other case that he had. You see what I'm saying? So, boy. Oh, by the way, yeah, this is sad.